to Mr. Randy's Wine and Spirits. I am Mr. Randy. Today we're going to be talking about Johnnie Walker. So I also have a video out on the Johnnie Walker Red Label, but today we're going to be talking about the Johnnie Walker Black Label and what's the real differences and which one should you buy. So we're going to go ahead and give you a good look at that bottle. Aged 12 years, 40% alcohol by volume. Pretty much as simple as you get when it comes to stuff on the bottle. It's actually kind of elegant in a sort of way, the black and the gold. I'll give it that. It's much better looking than that Red Label, unless you're a really big red person. But just like the Red Label, most Johnnie Walker products are blended. So the Black Label has 40, or at least it's claiming that there are 40 different scotches. Did it again. There are 40 different scotch in here. So it is a single malt and single grain scotch. All the blends are made from single malt and single grain. The only thing I got beyond that is the fact that it is age stated at 12 years. I guess that's a point for them. 40% ABV. We'll pass on that one. So this is, again, a 375 milliliter bottle. I highly recommend that if you have an opportunity to get something as smaller, at least 100, you can get several 50 milliliter bottles. There's actually a couple of different bottles from certain distillers, which I'm not able to obtain regular size bottles, but I can get the 50 milliliter shooter bottles. And I get a couple of those, and I'll just pour them into a glass, and we'll do that way to be able to get to know the whiskey in the bottle better. So Mr. Randy paid just under $25 out the door for the Johnnie Walker Black Label. So with that being said, let's get a pour on, shall we? Nice square bottle, nice tin cap. You know, I actually kind of think that the square bottles are kind of nice. I mean, because when you set these up on a shelf, the actual footprint is relatively nice, considering that they're not round. They're not going to take up more space than they need. So that part, I give them a point for. Let's go ahead and get a look at it. Now this Black Label does come in just a slight bit darker than the Red Label. And of course that is because it is aged a little bit longer in the barrels and the casks. So, and just like the red, you've got some pretty decent, is that on the outside? It is. They've got some pretty decent legs, and they form relatively fast, which means you got some decent viscosity, and it's going to be a good mouthfeel kind of whiskey. But let's get another nose first. That nose is significantly better than the Red Label. I'm getting singed sawdust. The first thing that comes to mind is a sawdust, but then sort of like burnt, you know, like from shop class. You remember that story about Mr. Randy in shop class? No? Maybe you should backtrack through my videos and find it, and then let me know what you think about that. So it does give you a hint of sawdust, singed, you know, like from a table saw or something. You've been cutting wood, and that friction of the cutting gives it a sort of burnt or toasted. That's very nice. It's like toasted oak. That's pretty much what it is. That singed toasted barrel. There's a slight sweetness. Like I said, much better than what you get off of the red. But since my mouth is starting to water, let's get it on the palate. That palate's actually much better than the Red Label, just as we said about the nose. The nose on the black is better than the red. The palate on the black is better than the red. On the red, I think the palate is probably the best thing you have. And then I guess you would follow up though with the finish. And then the nose kind of trails behind. The black, you've got a pretty decent nose. You got a much better palate. You're definitely getting some sweet oak. You know, pretty much those standard whiskey that's matured in oak barrels. There's not a whole lot else going on with any of that. It does fall a little bit flat. I mean, it comes at you up front and then it kind of falls flat. But let's go ahead and get the palate finished, and then we'll move on. See that? Yep. That has, again, just as we spoke about the red back there, the black has a much better finish. So I'm going to say the finish probably just beats out the palate on the black. So you got a good nose, a better palate, and then just a little bit better of a finish. It's moderately light. It's not overpowering, not overbearing. It kind of gets you like straight from the tip to the over the top of the tongue. And the warmth sort of takes a little bit of time to kick in, and it's not overbearing as well. So that is a pretty nice finish. I'm going to say the black completely blows away the red, which brings me to a point which I just don't understand. Why would you have a red that is completely inferior to the black, and the price difference is minimal? Is that some kind of, marketing strategy? Mr. Randy has done marketing and logistics and stuff like that, so I kind of get it, but I think you're wasting money and time on the red label when you should just kind of absorb that into maybe the black or something else you got going on, which is what they did with the green label, as I understand it. The green label is no longer being produced. They say if you can get your hand on the green label, you should buy it. Even if you don't believe that it's worth it in the value of the tasting, you should get it because, well, they're not going to have it anymore. It could be a collector's item, but it is what it is. So let's put a score on this. So I gave the red a solid 2 out of 5. I'm going to give the black label a weak 3 out of 5. I'm going to put it just cross that line into the 3 zone because, it's not as bad as the red. You're getting much better nose, palate, and finish. And my fair price for this, I would say 20 or less would definitely make me think about buying it again. So I guess we'll move on to that final point. Would I buy this again? Like I said, probably not. If there was like a massive sale or something like that could get it down under 20, and I really could use one of these probably for a stash, just like I have the red. These two probably will not be drank or drunk. So these two might actually sit in my collection for a while. After this is review over, both of these bottles are just going to probably go into the closet. That's probably the destiny for these things, is going into the closet. But, yeah. So let us know in the comments. Have you tried Johnnie Walker? Have you tried the red? Have you tried the black? Have you tried the green, the gold, the blue? What was that other one? I don't know. Probably won't get there. But thanks for stopping by here at Mr. Randy's Wine and Spirits. I am Mr. Randy, and you have a good one.